Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to show you how I made these awesome ornaments for the Christmas tree. I can't believe it's that time of year already, but we are there, guys, and I have some awesome ideas for you to make affordable ornaments for your Christmas tree with things you probably have sitting around your house or that you may have thrown away. If you're curious to see how I made these ornaments for the tree, keep on watching. What's up, gorgeous people? This is Amber's DIY. My name is Amber Meeks, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make some Christmas ornaments with scraps. Now, when I say scraps, I mean like toilet paper rolls, paper towel rolls, or what's left over from a ribbon roll, things like that. That's what we're going to use in today's video to make some awesome ornaments for the tree. So without further ado, let's jump into this thing. Okay guys, we're going to start by making a bow ornament. So we're going to do the same thing that we did yesterday in my bow making video. We're going to pop the end off of this, pop the little plastic off, take all of the ribbon off of the spool, match your ends up, then you're going to take it all the way to the other end and you're going to cut it in half. Then you're going to take that half, you're going to do the exact same thing, match up your ends, feed it all the way through your hands till you get to the other end and cut it in half. You're going to do this process until you get your desired length. So once you're happy with the length, you're going to take your ribbon, fold it in half. You're going to cut it at an angle to dovetail the ends. You're going to want to do this on both ends to all the pieces of ribbon. Then you're going to take some cording. I'm going to feed it into my little Badabra tool here. And I'm going to cut this really long because I need to make a place for the ornament to be able to hang. So this is like the little cord that will hang the ornament up. So then you're just going to plop those pieces right down into the Badabra. There should be 8 pieces. Plop them all down into there. Once they're down in, you're going to go ahead, take both of those ends, and you're going to create a slip knot to tie them into place. Now, the only thing that we're going to do different from yesterday is we're going to take this and we're going to tilt it upward so that we're tying our knot at the top part of the bow instead of the middle, because we're not making that kind of a bow. We're doing an ornament. And then I'm going to tie off the end here. I'm just going to like loop it. See how I'm just like kind of looping this end here, feeding it through my finger and making a knot so that we have a little hangy thingamabobber for our ornament. So I'm going to go ahead, tighten that up, cut off the excess. Then I'm just going to fluff the bow. And as I said yesterday, I really can't tell you how to do this. Just fluff it until you're happy with the way that it looks. And once you're done fluffing and doing all that, you're going to want to add some embellishments. So I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of red snowflakes to this one, along with a little sparkly silver center. Once that's done, here's how it looks. So guys, you don't have to make them this big. This one's a really big one. I like to have big fillers on my trees, but you can totally make this half the size and it will look just as nice. Okay, for this next one, I am in love with these like little sweater hat ornaments that I keep seeing all over the place. And I saw some on Oriental Trading, but I so wasn't paying that price. So I'm taking a scrap piece of a sweater that I have here, cutting a small piece out, and then I'm folding it in half. And then I realize it's like way too big. So I go ahead and cut that in half because I'm making mini ornaments and that's not mini. So then I'm just kind of making what would look like a hat kind of sort of shape. I don't know. Looks pretty good to me so far. So then I go ahead and cut that in half so that I have 2 separate pieces. Now I'm going to go ahead, fold that out. Make sure that you have them facing right sides together. So the side that's going to be the outside of the hat is the side that you want to start gluing together, if that makes sense. So right now the hat's inside out. I hope that makes sense. That sounded so confusing. Nonetheless, you're going to go ahead and run your glue around the hat, leaving the bottom part open. You do not want to glue that bottom part. We're going to leave that open because we're going to flip our hat right side out in the next part here. Make sure your glue is super dry, by the way. Now that my glue is completely dry, I'm going to take my hat, flip it right side out, and this is what it looks like so far. Yeah, it's looking pretty crazy, guys. It's way too long. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it to see where I want to cut it, and I decide that's about right. And look, I have enough for a whole nother hat. Awesome. Okay, so now that I have that done, I'm going to take this little piece of the sweater. This was like the part where the sweater was joined together. Yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and take that part, and that's going to be like the brim of my hat. So I'm just going to glue that right down onto the bottom there. Taking my time, obviously, making sure that it's at the very edge. And this is what it looks like so far. So now I'm just going to take a little white pom-pom, stick a little dot of glue at the top there, and I'm going to plop it down onto there. It's looking so cute. I was so pumped. And then I realized I needed to figure out how to hang it up. So this is what I came up with. I'm going to take this safety pin and I'm going to feed it through the back part of the hat wherever I can find a hole that's big enough to feed it through. So there, I just popped it through just like that. Now I'm going to take my cording, I'm going to feed it through that hole that's on the safety pin. But as you can see, I'm struggling here because it's a little too thick to do it that way. And the other end was fraying, so I was getting super frustrated at this point. But I figure out how to get it through this little hole eventually. So once I get it through the hole, I'm holding one end of the string so that it doesn't go all the way through, and then I pull that other end through. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, that's so not gonna work. So then I take my safety pin and I put it back through the opposite side, take that piece of string that's on the inside of the hat, I feed it back through that little hole of the safety pin, and then I pull it back through, and that ends up working. As you can see, I was struggling because it was fraying, but I feed it back through the little hole here, and then I pull that back through. Boom! Yes! I was so pumped. So then I tie it off, and it's ready to be hung on the tree. This was a little more of a science than I thought it was going to be, but it ended up looking really cute, and I'm so glad I didn't waste my money buying those ones that I saw on Oriental Trading Company, because this one looks just as good. So cute. I love it. It's so little. Okay, so for this next one, we're going to make a snowman hat. So I'm taking my leftover ribbon spool here, and I'm going to cut just one of the ends to be the same size as the rest of the spool. So I'm just taking my scissors here and just cutting around so that I can make it so that it's the same size as the rest of the spool so that it looks more like a hat. And obviously the bottom part is going to be the brim of the hat. And as you can see, guys, I'm just trying to make this as level as I possibly can, but it does not have to be perfect by any stretch of anyone's imagination. So now I'm going to take this piece of black felt and I'm going to add some glue, a generous amount of glue, to the bottom part that is the brim of the hat, and I'm just going to plop it down on there. So once I let that dry for a few seconds, I'm going to pick this up and then I'm going to run my glue gun on the edges here to make sure that that felt goes all the way to the edge of the bottom of the spool here, because I don't want to be able to see any of that. I want it to be perfectly black on the bottom of the hat. So now that I have that done, I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut around the circle so everything is perfectly even. Well, nothing's perfect the way that I do it anyway, so I'm going to make it as even as I possibly can. So I'm just cutting, making sure it's somewhat even, and this is what I'm left with. Okay, so now I needed another piece to complete the top part of the brim, and this is where I made my mistake, guys. I should not have cut this felt like this. I should have just left it the full piece the way that it was, then folded it in half as I'm doing right here, cutting a small slit to try to make this top part here big enough, the slit big enough to slip over the spool, if that makes sense. I'm sure you guys can see what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to cut it so it's just big enough to slide over this spool so I can cover that bottom part of the brim. So as you can see, that one part is just a little shy, so I end up stretching it to make it fit. But if I would have just left that full piece of felt, the full size that it was, I wouldn't have had this problem. So I would suggest just using a full piece of felt and then just cutting around after you're done, as you're going to see me do here. I'm going to cut around and make sure everything's level. And if I would have just left it that full size that it was, I wouldn't have had the problem of stretching it to make it fit. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and work on the, I don't know, what is this, a cylinder part of the hat here. And I'm just wrapping my felt around here. And once I see that it's going to fit, I just cut off that rogue end there that was super long. And I'm just going to add a little bead of glue to the end here. And I'm just going to start gluing it into place. Now, I do make sure that I run the glue over the entire cylinder. So once this part is nice and secure, I flip it over and then I add some more glue and I continue in that process all the way until the end of the cylinder is covered. Now you'll notice I have a lot of excess at the top, and you want to leave that on there, and I'll show you why in a second. So now that I'm at the very end, I'm sealing it. It's looking pretty good. What I'm going to do here is that leftover, I'm going to go ahead and just tuck it into that little hole. It's so perfect, guys. Look how perfect that fits into the hole. Now I have a lot of excess here, so I do have to cut some of it off, but it makes it look so nice if you just tuck it in just like this. This works out so good. I'm so glad there's a hole at the top of the ribbon. This worked out great. So the next part is adding the hang thingamabobber. So I made mine way too long. You're going to want to make yours a little bit shorter than what mine is. I don't know why I made it this long. I think I was just tired. I don't know what's going on here. But anyways, I'm just going to add some glue to the inside part of the little hole there. And I'm just going to glue that down into there. So that was just a little dab of glue, but to make sure that this stays 100% in place, I grab my glue gun and then I run some glue over top of that cording just to make sure it's 100% secure and it's not going to fall off on me. So I'm sure you can't see in there, but that's all I was doing right there. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to cover this up. So see that little piece of felt that I have right there? I'm going to use that to cover up the top part of this hat. So I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut a small slit into the top part there to slip that piece of cording through. That's going to be the hanger part for the ornament. Can you guys tell me what that's called? Because I keep calling it a hangy thingamabobber, but I really don't know what that's called. At any rate, once I slip that through, I'm just going to add some glue to secure this little piece of felt to the top part of the hat. And just as we've been doing the entire time, I'm going to cut it so that it is the right size of the cylinder here. So I'm just going to cut it to make sure that it fits. A lot of processes to this one, but honestly, guys, this is my favorite one of the day. Okay, so now I'm going to take some white paint and add some like faux snow kind of effect on the hat. There's no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing here. I'm just like dabbing some white paint onto the hat. Now that that's done, I'm going to take this Dr. Teal's Epsom salt that I got at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to add some hot glue to the end here, and I'm going to just dip it into the Epsom salt to give it a nice frosted effect. It looks so awesome, guys. And this Epsom salt will last you for like ever, and it's only $1. I'm just saying. Okay. Now that that's done, this is what we're looking like so far, a nice frosted hat. So now all I have to do is add some embellishments. So I'm going to take some of those leaves that I got in Linda's little box. I'm going to add some holly, and I'm also going to take the pine cones that she included in her little box to me as well and add those for my embellishments to the hat. And here it is. Oh, guys, it is so cute. And just think, this was a leftover ribbon spool, and we turned it into an awesome Santa hat or snowman hat. Sorry, I love it. Okay, so now after all that difficulty, let's go for a simpler DIY. I just grabbed a pine cone from my backyard. Yeah, I just walked outside and grabbed a pine cone. Now I'm just going to take a piece of cording. I'm going to wrap it around wherever it will fit. You guys will just have to maneuver if you want to do this craft. If you have some pine cones handy around your house or out in your backyard like I did, just make sure there's no bugs or anything in there. Just saying. All right, so then you're just going to tie that cording on there as tightly as you possibly can. And then you're going to create a little loop so that you can hang this onto your tree. Obviously, once you knot that off, tighten it up, cut off the excess. And then the next thing that we're going to do to spruce this up is add some Epsom salt. I love the frosted look, guys. It just looks so cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some glue onto the pine cone here and dip it into the Epsom salt. And that's it for this one, guys. Look how pretty it looks, though. It looks so nice on the tree. Such an easy DIY, but very effective. Okay, for this next one, we're going to take leftover ribbon spool thingamabobbers from the smaller ribbons. We have 3 of them here, so we're going to take one of them, cut it in half, and we're going to make it a little bit smaller because I'm going for an abstract snowman here. So see how it's a little bit smaller than that one? Looking pretty good. Add a dot of glue to the end of that. Put your sides down, add a clothespin until it dries, and then move on to the head part. So what I did was grab the piece from the one that I just cut to see how much more I should cut from the top one. So that kind of gave me a guidance on how much to cut. Then I took it and measured it up. It was still about the same size, so I cut a little bit more off, and then I finally was happy with it. So just play with it, guys, until you feel like it looks right. I really don't know how to explain that any other way. So obviously I'm going to seal that off and let it dry. So now that all of that part is done, I'm taking some leftover white felt pieces that I have, and I'm just going to cut it into strips. And as you can see, I was doing other projects with that because I had like marker all over the place, but that's totally fine. We can still use it. It looks good, right? Awesome. So I'm just going to cut these into random strips. They are not even by any stretch of anybody's imagination. Now that I have that done, I'm going to take the bigger one and I'm going to add a little dot of glue. I'm going to put the strip on top of the glue and then I'm just going to wrap it around, guys. And that's all I'm going to do for all of these pieces is wrap these felt pieces all the way around until they're completely covered. Okay, now that they're all covered, I need to join them together. So see the part where I stopped? That's where I want to join each of these 3 pieces together. So I'm just going to take my glue gun, add a dot of glue, stick one of those strips on top, and then I'm going to put the 2 little circles together and I'm just going to tightly secure them with this piece of felt. So I'm just pulling it as tight as I can, wrapping it around so that I can join these 2 pieces together, and I will do the exact same process to join that bottom circle to that middle circle. Super easy, guys. Once you get to the very end, you kind of want to put it on the bottom if at all possible, but it really doesn't matter because we're going to be covering all of this up, but I tried to get it on the bottom just because. So now that all that's done, we're going to take our glue gun, and yes, guys, we are dipping this into the Epsom salt. I just love that frosted look. I just think it looks so cool, especially hanging on my Christmas tree. So I covered the entire thing in the Epsom salt. So now that it's completely covered, I don't want this stuff flaking off all over the place. So I'm going to seal it with this Rust-Oleum semi-gloss clear top coat. So now that all that's done, I decided that I was going to add a hangy thingamabobber to this one, but then I ended up taking it off because I just don't like the way it looks. I think that it just takes away from the whole abstract snowman thing. So I do put this on here, and you guys can add one if you want to, but I end up taking mine off. So the next part is just taking a red piece of felt, and I'm cutting a strip of it out because I want to add a little scarf to it. So when I cut this the first time, I just wing it, guys. I measure nothing like ever. I'm just not a measure kind of girl. I just like to eyeball it and see if I can make it work. So this ended up being a little bit too thick. So I ended up taking this off and making it just a little bit thinner because I wasn't happy with how thick it was. So just play with it, guys. Or you could do what most normal people would do and measure, but I'm not a measure kind of a girl. I just like to wing it and try to make it work and hope that it works. Once I'm happy with the way that looks, I go ahead and just glue that down into place. Just dropping a dot of glue right there and plopping it down. So once I was happy with all that, I decided to cut one of the ends off, and I'm not really sure why I decided to do this. I don't know what look I was going for, but that's what I did. So then I just fold that in under and glue it into place, and then I fray that other end so that it looks more like a scarf, and after that, this DIY is done. So here's what it looks like on the tree. Like I said, I took the hangy thingamabobber off because I thought it looked better without it, but I don't know. The tree branch is kind of in the way, so this one, I'm still struggling with it, but it looks okay. It's fine. I'll totally use it. Okay, for this next one, we're going to do another simple one. I'm just taking a piece of polka dot felt here, and I'm going to cut it in half, and that will give you 2 ornaments out of this one piece of felt. I think I paid like 10 cents for it. So now we're going to take a toilet paper roll, and my cat keeps shaking the camera. Sorry about that. So I'm just adding a little bead of glue to the end of it, and I'm going to glue it on there. It's that simple. Not hard at all, right, guys? So the next part is just tying off the ends. So I decided to tie the ends off with a piece of cording first, and then I'll add a piece of ribbon after that. I just feel that it just gives it a more secure look, and you can focus on making your ribbon look pretty instead of making it so that it's securing the end of the the felt here. I don't know what to call it. So I'm just tying this into place, just knotting it off, and I cut this end completely off, but the next end, you want to make sure that you leave it long so that you have something to hang your ornament with. So this one, I don't cut it off at the very end like I did the other end because, of course, I want to have some way to hang this ornament onto the tree. This could be one that you just kind of stick in the tree, though. You don't have to hang it, but I don't know. I like to have the little hangy thingamabobbers for like extra security, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. So I end up tying this, knotting the end off, tightening it up, and then cutting off the excess. And then I add my ribbon to the end. I just tie it into a regular shoelace bow, nothing fancy here. And to me, these end up looking like some large pieces of candy hanging on the tree. Kind of cute, right? I like this one. Super simple and very effective in filling in all those huge gaps in your tree. Okay, for this next one, we are going to turn this into a little mini tree. So this is a toilet paper roll. You guys saw me do this in another video. I am just going to roll this into a cone shape to make it look like a tree. Then once I'm happy with the shape, I go ahead and add a dot of glue to secure that end in place. So then of course you want to level out the bottom. So I just cut it off and then just kind of cut around until I'm happy with the way that it looks. Once I'm happy with the shape of the tree, I'm going to grab this ribbon here, and this is 4-inch wide ribbon, and I'm just going to place the tree in there, add a little bead of glue to the top of it, and then I'm just going to roll it into place, guys, until the cone is completely covered. You know, that's pretty much all we're doing here. Another simple, easy ornament that you can make for your tree here. So once this is pretty much covered, I just cut off my excess here, but don't cut it off perfectly. You're going to want to seal this into place. So once you seal the end to make sure that everything's secure, just tuck that bottom into the cone. So add some glue and tuck the bottom excess part into the cone so that we can finish off the bottom of this ornament. You don't want to have it open where you can see that it was a toilet paper roll. That just wouldn't look good on the tree. So now that I have all that done, I'm going to, well, I had a little rogue piece of wire sticking out there, so I cut that off. Now I'm just going to add some glue to the bottom of the cone here so that I can have it completely finished on the bottom, because again, this is going to be hanging on your tree. You don't want to see the inside of this. So then I just plop that down onto the ribbon here, and then I just cut around so that it's the same size as the circle of the bottom of this little tree. So then I realized, oh crap, I have to add a hangy thingy to this. I always forget that, but you know, I figure it out. I always do. So looking at the tree, I'm like, okay, let's grab my cording here and let's just make the little loopy thingamabobber, tie it off as I've been doing the entire video, knotting it off, tightening it up, and cutting off my excess. And then I'm just gonna add a little bit of glue to this, and I'm going to move that top part of the ribbon that's not secured in there, and I'm just going to squeeze it into place. So it ended up working out just fine this way, but you know, I honestly didn't even think about adding this on. I'm just saying. So I ended up adding a bow to this, and honestly, I wish I hadn't, because I should have just left it alone, because this looks like a tree, but you're gonna see, yeah, this looks like a bell. Am I right? I'm just saying. So that's all I got for you guys this video. I wish I ended with a bang. I probably should have ended with the snowman ornament, because that one is truly my favorite. You guys will have to let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite. This was such a fun video for me to make. I'm definitely going to do a couple more like this, because I'm going to be making some custom ornaments for my Christmas tree. And I'll use these in some of my trees. I put like, I don't know, 20 trees up during the Christmas season. So, but for my main tree, I want to do something special this year, and I will definitely film how I'm going to make those ornaments. They're going to be very whimsical and fun, but I hope that you guys got some inspiration from the ornaments that I showed you in today's video. Okay guys, so there you go. There's some ideas for making some fun, cute ornaments for your Christmas tree out of things that you would have most likely thrown away. I know a lot of people don't hang on to those toilet paper rolls and paper towel rolls, but I do, because I find them awesome to craft with. So let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite and which one you were most likely to try. I'm always curious to see if anybody's crazy enough to try some of my ideas. It always entertains me when they do, and I would love to see photos. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. Hit me up, show me what you've come up with. I would love to see your work. Hopefully you found something in this video helpful or useful in some way. And if you did, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell. I have a lot more fun DIYs coming up very soon, and I wouldn't want you to miss any of them. Thanks so much for stopping by to check this out, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye! I don't know what to say. Okay, let me think. I like to reuse things as much as possible, and because you can't see what's underneath the ornament, like when you're making it, what? Where are you going with that? Hold on. Okay, guys, so there you go. There's some ideas for making ornaments out of things you probably already have around the house or things you would most likely throw away. So where do I want to go after that? I don't know. Hold on. Okay, guys, so there you go. There's some ideas for making ornaments for your tree out of things you probably have around the house or things that you would have most likely thrown away. I don't know where to go after that. Why don't I know where to go? Try it one more time. And if you did, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell. I have a lot more fun DIYs coming up very soon. A lot more fun Christmas DIYs coming up very soon. And why did I go that way? I already said that. Or things you would have most likely thrown away. I'm all for reusing things any way that or any time, what? To make ornaments for your Christmas tree. Let me know which one, what? Oh, why can't I get this right? Out of things that you would have probably thrown away. I'm pretty sure most people throw the paper rolls. Try it again. Okay, guys, so there you go. There's some ideas for making, what was this video? Oh, Christmas ornaments.